Hi, everyone. My name is Susie Ingwal. Welcome to another episode of Medtech Minis. Today, I'm here with Ajay Gopal, CEO and co-founder of RX Studio. Welcome, Ajay. How are you today?
Susie, I'm doing really well, and thanks for having me. It's so good to see you
Hi.
again.
Yeah, it's nice to see you too. I'm so glad you're here. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the problem that you were trying to solve when you started out.
Yeah, I'm CEO and co-founder, like the subtitle says, of RX Studio. We're a precision medicine platform, and broadly, we're helping prescribers improve medication outcomes and save lives by doing that. The initial problem we started with was to ask, is the medication given to every patient uh, working for them or not? And it turns out that this is actually a pretty big problem. By default, every new prescription given in the US has only about 50 to 60% odds of working. So it's almost like a coin toss, and you have to kind of hope heads or tails that it works for you. And that's really what we're trying to solve. We want to get that 50 to 60% efficacy of your prescription to 95 plus so that you know it's going to work for you.
Well, I don't think anybody wants to do a coin toss with their health, right? So
Yeah.
I can't speak today, but that's okay. I don't think anybody wants to do that. And I think, I also know that this is very personal to you and you don't need to go into that here. But I do know that not only do they have this problem with it being ineffective, sometimes they're on the right medication, but their dosage is wrong. And then that can result in really bad outcomes, including even death, right?
Yeah, that's true. And Susie, as you mentioned, it's happened to me. I've lost a couple of people, friends and family to this. If I just one person can have two people in my life affected, I'm sure you and everybody else listening has somebody in their life affected by the right medication, but prescribed at the wrong dose. And I think, broadly speaking, we're focused on three categories of medication for dosing optimization. Drugs that are super expensive, like the new biologicals that cost you $100,000 for a year worth of medication or more. The second class is drugs that are really hard to titrate. What that means is every person responds so differently that traditionally people were slowly ramped up on that medication, and it would take 6 months, 8 months, sometimes even 18 months to get the patient to the right level for them. This has immense consequences in mental health, for example. Like, imagine somebody having to wait 18 months to get to the right medication. And then the third category of drugs to optimize are drugs that are really narrow therapeutics. What that means is if you're off by 20% for the individual, it goes from being helpful to toxic to some other part of the body. So those are the three categories of drugs we work with. And most of what we do is on the prescriber side, but I'm happy to tell you that we're also trying to connect and bridge that to the patient at home and how they're feeling.
That's great. And I understand you're using a little bit of AI behind this. Tell us just briefly, how does your solution work and where are you at are you in the market now? How do people get a hold of you? How do they work with you?
Well, we are at RX Studio. That is rx.studio. That's our domain name. And you can find us there, hit the contact us page, and it'll come to me. Really, what we are, from an AI perspective, is we're trying to solve for the fact that when a pharmaceutical takes a drug to market, they've done a clinical trial that maybe with 20 to 200 people on average in the clinical trial, and the diversity of patients in the trial doesn't represent the diversity of patients that the drug will then be used for later. So we aggregate a lot of post-market data to make statistical models that better predict along multiple dimensions what's the right initial dose for a patient. But after that, we use AI optimization to close the loop the moment we know how the patient is responding. And traditionally, that's called generative statistics. The word generative is pretty hot nowadays, but we were using methods that existed before people were writing chatbots with it.
That's great. Thank you so much for your time today. I'm so excited about this technology. I feel like it's needed in every hospital. I just really appreciate your time today. Is there anything else you'd like people to know before we close out?
Well, just one thing. You know, just last year, 4.5 billion prescriptions were fulfilled. And sadly, in our country, we don't know what the outcomes were. So hopefully, our technology once can be that digital bridge between the provider and the patient, measuring outcomes and optimizing outcomes. So we collect that data and improve how we take care of future generations. So that's our
That's awesome.
vision, and would love your help in making that happen.